So we have Lino today here with us, and we're going to be asking you a few questions. And our first question is, can you share how you became involved with the Salinas Regional Sports Authority, our nonprofit organization that manages the Salinas Regional Soccer Complex?
Well, about at this point, it's about 20 years ago. I had just finished working on the softball complex here in Salinas at the Rodeo Grounds, and had started working on the Rabobank football stadium. And while we were doing that project, Warren Whalen, who was the main instigator of these projects, was thinking about this project way back then. And so he asked me to come up with some sketches. So along with one of the architects I was working with, Alex Reynoso, we came up with the original site plan for this project. And then I kind of dropped out for like 10 or 12 years. And then Kurt Golnick called me up, I guess it's been about 3 years ago now, and said, hey, it's time for the construction to start, so you want to get back involved. And so that's where I came back in.
Perfect. And how long have you been an architect for?
I've been an architect since 1988. So it's coming on 40 years, 35, 40 years, yeah.
It's pretty cool. And what inspired you to be an architect?
Well, I'd have to say ultimately it was my dad was an architect, and then a very good friend of his was a contractor. So it was probably both those things that made me understand what could be achieved by being an architect.
And what personal values do you put into being a board member?
I think it's important to encourage people to express themselves and then to listen to them. That the goal isn't to be the one always with the right ideas, but to listen to everybody and make sure everyone feels like they've contributed and that they've been able to explain themselves and they've been able to have some input. The process is just as important as the end.
And how do you think our Salinas Regional Soccer Complex benefits the local community?
It's the one place, but it's also the one environment where the whole community can come together. And regardless of what it is that you do, oftentimes what you do for a living or whatever is important. In this situation, it's not. It's how you fit into the community, how you interact with other people. So I think it's really the one place in Salinas where we can all come together and enjoy each other and learn from each other.
Correct. And we have families here every Sunday. It's kind of families come here for their family's fun day, right? And in your experience, how important is the role of an architect when designing large projects like a school or agricultural buildings?
Well, one of the functions that we do is that it's kind of like the roadmap of how to achieve something. So on a construction project, it's important for people to be able to visualize what it is that they need, what it is that they want. And so part of our job is to be able to come up with pictures to say, okay, is this what you want to do? This is what it looks like. And in most cases, the process is something that we've done before. So if someone has never, built a school before, or built an ag building before, or built a park before, there's certain things that you have to do to, for the process to move it along. So it's understanding what the process is and how to achieve things.
And how do you, as a board member, what do you find most rewarding about contributing your time and efforts to the Salinas Regional Sports Authority?
Well, it's probably two things. One is that I enjoy the process of working with people to understand what it is that they want. also understand what their sensibilities are. Some people have um, a high openness to taking risks on things. Other people don't want risks, they don't want surprises. And so in construction, sometimes you can be very specific about what you're doing. And then you're trying to limit surprises. And then other times you can be more open with what you're designing so that there's abilities to change things along the way. So that's part of it, is understand, is that. Um, and then ultimately it's when the project is done and you see people using the project.
And how do you plan to ensure that the voices of the community, especially youth, are heard and represented in board decisions?
I think ultimately the best way to do that is by working to have your board as diverse as possible. And there's a lot of ways that you can look at that diversity. One can be ethnic or racial. It could be economic. It could be geographic. And so I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but I think that's the important thing, is for the board to be as diverse as possible. It's kind of hard to bring in just to rely on surveys and polls. It's very, very difficult to understand whether the group that you're polling or surveying is realistic. But the more diverse our board can be, the better it will be able to serve.
Perfect. And where do you envision the Salinas Regional Sports Complex in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I know that the construction will be complete, and I'm hoping that's within 5 years, maybe 3 or 4. But after that, then I think it's just going to be like a continuous party. It's this. There's going to be people here, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning and going home at 10 or 11 at night, and that'll be every day of the week. And there'll be people doing all sorts of things. There'll be people just simply going for a nice walk. There'll be people just playing on the grass. There'll be sports. I envision that there'll be concerts in the plaza, and there'll be certainly people using the health services, and then also having championship type sporting events. So I think there's just all sorts of things are going to happen, and I think also there'll be a lot of connection between what's going on with Carr Lake, tying the community even further together, where there's abilities to be able to easily walk from the furthest of northeast Salinas to southwest Salinas through parks. So I think I'm really looking forward to that.
Correct. And what are some of the most creative ways you've seen players or teams celebrate after scoring a goal?
That's a tough one. I'm not always a fan of seeing individual players doing little dances or doing things like that. I really like it when the players come together when they achieve something, because I see it as I'm really a fan of team sports, and I like the expression that the team did this. Even if it was one player that brought the ball across the line, I think it's still important that everybody was involved.
It was done as a teamwork. And given that our community is united through soccer, what advice would you offer to young people who love the game but may not have the opportunity to play professionally?
Well, certainly, I would recommend trying to stay involved by playing, even in adult leagues, things like that. But also coaching is a great opportunity to help youth. And then there's also just simply volunteering, at a sports complex like this. And then there's getting a job, is being involved professionally with a sporting team, even if you're not a player.
Correct. And are there any final thoughts or message you would like to share?
No, I'm just really excited to be involved in this project. Every time I come out here, I get a big smile on my face. There's so much energy, it's just the energy to be here. My big focus has always been to work on projects for youth. That's why I've been involved with softball and football, and so I was happy to get back involved to help out. When my kids were younger, I was a soccer coach for them, Um, so that was a great experience to be able to do something with my kids in that way. Ultimately, they went on to other coaches besides me, but that was a great experience. But yeah, no, I think the group of people that are involved in this, their hearts are in the right place, and they're really, working to make this a community uh, project, and really listening to see what the community needs and letting that guide us where we go. We don't have a fixed idea of what this thing is going to be. It's really being open to what the community, which way they drive us.
Correct. And as you mentioned, you were once a coach. I'm sure you feel like, Simon, that the people that are coaches right now feel like, knowing that the Salinas Sports Complex is growing. So
Well, it was always a hassle as a coach, is trying to understand where our games were going to be,
mhm.
and if we had, my kids were at different ages, and so you could have to go to two different fields on the same day.
Yeah,
So I think having the ability to have one facility where you could all come and have all your games played, I think is great.
yeah. And now we have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Which soccer team do you root for?
It would have to be UFC. Go with the local team. I'm not typically a huge sports fan. I like doing sports, but not. I don't spend much time watching.
And what is your favorite song, artist, or album?
Right now, I was thinking about this question. Right now, my main interest is Italian pop.
Sounds
Yeah, so
pretty cool.
yeah.
And do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
Yeah, there's a TV show, a movie. It's been a while since I've rewatched it, but it was Breaking Away.
Mm.
I know you probably never heard of it. It's about a high school college kid who learns to ride a bike, and he uses the ability to be a good bicycle, to be a rider, to get into college.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And what's your favorite hike or outdoor adventure you've been on?
I love hiking here locally, like the Pinnacles. The longest hike I've done was one at the Haute Route, which is hiking from the French Alps to the Italian Alps. So that was about a 50-mile hike.
And what's one thing you do to support your well-being?
It would be hiking, getting outside and hiking.
Exploring new places.
Yeah.
Well, that is all for today, and thank you for letting us ask these questions.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.